The new god of cursing. The new gods of cursing. The new god of cursing. The new goddess of cursing. The new goddesses of cursing. The new goddess of cursing. The old god of cursing. The old gods of cursing. The old god of cursing. The old goddess of cursing. The old goddesses of cursing. The old goddess of cursing. The greater god of cursing. The greater gods of cursing. The greater god of cursing. The greater goddess of cursing. The greater goddesses of cursing. The greater goddess of cursing. The lesser god of cursing. The lesser gods of cursing. The lesser god of cursing. The lesser goddess of cursing. The lesser goddesses of cursing. The lesser goddess of cursing. The higher god of cursing. The higher gods of cursing. The higher god of cursing. The higher goddess of cursing. The higher goddesses of cursing. The higher goddess of cursing. The lower god of cursing. The lower gods of cursing. The lower god of cursing. The lower goddess of cursing. The lower goddesses of cursing. The lower goddess of cursing. The greater spirit of cursing. The greater spirits of cursing. The greater spirit of cursing. The lesser spirit of cursing. The lesser spirits of cursing. The lesser spirit of cursing. The higher spirit of cursing. The higher spirits of cursing. The higher spirit of cursing. The lower spirit of cursing. The lower spirits of cursing. The lower spirit of cursing. The major god of cursing. The major gods of cursing. The major god of cursing. The major goddess of cursing. The major goddesses of cursing. The major goddess of cursing. The minor god of cursing. The minor gods of cursing. The minor god of cursing. The minor goddess of cursing. The minor goddesses of cursing. The minor goddess of cursing. The superior god of cursing. The superior gods of cursing. The superior god of cursing. The superior goddess of cursing. The superior goddesses of cursing. The superior goddess of cursing. The inferior god of cursing. The inferior gods of cursing. The inferior god of cursing. The inferior goddess of cursing. The inferior goddesses of cursing. The inferior goddess of cursing. The ancestor god of cursing. The ancestor gods of cursing. The ancestor god of cursing. The ancestor goddess of cursing. The ancestor goddesses of cursing. The ancestor goddess of cursing. The ascendant god of cursing. The ascendant gods of cursing. The ascendant god of cursing. The ascendant goddess of cursing. The ascendant goddesses of cursing. The ascendant goddess of cursing. The descendant god of cursing. The descendant gods of cursing. The descendant god of cursing. The descendant goddess of cursing. The descendant goddesses of cursing. The descendant goddess of cursing. The transcendent god of cursing. The transcendent gods of cursing. The transcendent god of cursing. The transcendent goddess of cursing. The transcendent goddesses of cursing. The transcendent goddess of cursing. The past god of cursing. The past gods of cursing. The past god of cursing. The past goddess of cursing. The past goddesses of cursing. The past goddess of cursing. The present god of cursing. The present gods of cursing. The present god of cursing. The present goddess of cursing. The present goddesses of cursing. The present goddess of cursing. The future god of cursing. The future gods of cursing. The future god of cursing. The future goddess of cursing. The future goddesses of cursing. The future goddess of cursing. The authentic god of cursing. The authentic gods of cursing. The authentic god of cursing. The authentic goddess of cursing. The authentic goddesses of cursing. The authentic goddess of cursing. The synthetic god of cursing. The synthetic gods of cursing. The synthetic god of cursing. The synthetic goddess of cursing. The synthetic goddesses of cursing. The synthetic goddess of cursing. The progressive god of cursing. The progressive gods of cursing. The progressive god of cursing. The progressive goddess of cursing. The progressive goddesses of cursing. The progressive goddess of cursing. The regressive god of cursing. The regressive gods of cursing. The regressive god of cursing. The regressive goddess of cursing. The regressive goddesses of cursing. the regressive goddess of cursing, the ordinary god of cursing, the ordinary gods of cursing, the ordinary god of cursing, the ordinary goddess of cursing, the ordinary goddesses of cursing, the ordinary goddess of cursing, the extraordinary god of cursing, the extraordinary gods of cursing, the extraordinary god of cursing, the extraordinary goddess of cursing, the extraordinary goddesses of cursing, the extraordinary goddess of cursing, the static god of cursing, the static gods of cursing, the static god of cursing, the static goddess of cursing, the static goddesses of cursing, the static goddess of cursing, the dynamic god of cursing, the dynamic gods of cursing, the dynamic god of cursing, the dynamic goddess of cursing, the dynamic goddesses of cursing, the dynamic goddess of cursing, the land god of cursing, the land gods of cursing, the land god of cursing, the land goddess of cursing, the land goddesses of cursing, the land goddess of cursing, the sea god of cursing, the sea gods of cursing, the sea god of cursing, the sea goddess of cursing, the sea goddesses of cursing, the sea goddess of cursing, the sky god of cursing, the sky gods of cursing, the sky god of cursing, the sky goddess of cursing, the sky goddesses of cursing, the sky goddess of cursing, the god of cursing, the gods of cursing, the god of cursing, the goddess of cursing, the goddesses of cursing, the goddess of cursing, the half god of cursing, the half gods of cursing, the half god of cursing, the half goddess of cursing, the half goddesses of cursing, the half goddess of cursing, the vessel of cursing, the vessels of cursing, the vessel of cursing, the name of cursing, the names of cursing, the name of cursing, the person of cursing, the persons of cursing, the person of cursing, the persona of cursing, the personas of cursing, the persona of cursing, the personage of cursing, the personages of cursing, the personage of cursing, the personality of cursing, the personalities of cursing, the personality of cursing, the personification of cursing, the personifications of cursing, the personification of cursing, the image of cursing, the images of cursing, the image of cursing, the imagination of cursing, the imaginations of cursing, the imagination of cursing, the belief of cursing, the beliefs of cursing, the belief of cursing, the thought of cursing, the thoughts of cursing, the thought of cursing, the word of cursing, the words of cursing, the word of cursing, the action of cursing, the actions of cursing, the action of cursing, the reaction of cursing, the reactions of cursing, the reaction of cursing, the feeling of cursing, the feelings of cursing, the feeling of cursing, the situation of cursing, the situations of cursing, the situation of cursing, the circumstance of cursing, the circumstances of cursing, the circumstance of cursing, the environment of cursing, the environments of cursing, the environment of cursing, the relationship of cursing, the relationships of cursing, the relationship of cursing, the number of cursing, the numbers of cursing, the number of cursing, the formula of cursing, the formulas of cursing, the formula of cursing, the equation of cursing, the equations of cursing, the equation of cursing, the theory of cursing, the theories of cursing, the theory of cursing, the symbol of cursing, the symbols of cursing, the symbol of cursing, the color of cursing, the colors of cursing, the color of cursing, the thing of cursing, the things of cursing, the thing of cursing, the way of cursing, the ways of cursing, the way of cursing, the place of cursing, the places of cursing, the place of cursing, the time of cursing, the times of cursing, the time of cursing, the event of cursing, the events of cursing, the event of cursing, the result of cursing, the results of cursing, the result of cursing, the crown of cursing, the crowns of cursing, the crown of cursing, the throne of cursing, the thrones of cursing, the throne of cursing, the curse sinking, the curse sinkings, the curse-sinking dom, the curse-sinking doms, the curse-sinking subject, the curse-sinking subjects, the curse-sinking's dominion, the curse-sinking's dominions, the kingdom of cursing, the kingdoms of cursing, the kingdom of cursing, the cursing queen, the cursing queens, the cursing queendom, the cursing queendoms, the cursing queen subject, the cursing queen subjects, the cursing queen's dominion, the cursing queen's dominions, the queendom of cursing, the queendoms of cursing, the queendom of cursing, the cursing prince, the cursing princes, the cursing princedom, the cursing princedoms, the cursing prince's subject, the cursing prince's subjects, the cursing prince's dominion, the cursing prince's dominions, the princedom of cursing, the princedoms of cursing, the princedom of cursing, the cursing princess, the cursing princesses, the cursing princessdom, the cursing princessdoms, the cursing princess's subject, the cursing princess's subjects, the cursing princess's dominion, the cursing princess's dominions, the princessdom of cursing, the princessdoms of cursing, the princessdom of cursing, the lord of cursing, the lords of cursing, the lord of cursing, the lordess of cursing, the lordesses of cursing, the lordess of cursing, the priest of cursing, the priests of cursing, the priest of cursing, the priestess of cursing, the priestesses of cursing, the priestess of cursing, the ritual of cursing, the rituals of cursing, the ritual of cursing, the shrine of cursing, the shrines of cursing, the shrine of cursing, the temple of cursing, the temples of cursing, the temple of cursing, the leader of cursing, the leaders of cursing, the leader of cursing, the follower of cursing, the followers of cursing, the follower of cursing, the natural substance of cursing, the natural substances of cursing, the natural substance of cursing, the supernatural substance of cursing, the supernatural substances of cursing, the supernatural substance of cursing, the temporal substance of cursing, the temporal substances of cursing, the temporal substance of cursing, the spiritual substance of cursing, the spiritual substances of cursing, the spiritual substance of cursing, the natural form of cursing, the natural forms of cursing, the natural form of cursing, the supernatural form of cursing, the supernatural forms of cursing, the supernatural form of cursing, the temporal form of cursing, the temporal forms of cursing, the temporal form of cursing, the spiritual form of cursing, the spiritual forms of cursing, the spiritual form of cursing, the age of cursing, the ages of cursing, the age of cursing, the era of cursing, the eras of cursing, the era of cursing, the awakener of cursing, the awakeners of cursing, the awakener of cursing, the awakening of cursing, the awakenings of cursing, the awakening of cursing, the realm of cursing, the realms of cursing, the realm of cursing, the dimension of cursing, the dimensions of cursing, the dimension of cursing, the zone of cursing, the zones of cursing, the zone of cursing, the frequency of cursing, the frequencies of cursing, the frequency of cursing, the century of cursing, the centuries of cursing, the century of cursing, the millennium of cursing, the millenniums of cursing, the millennium of cursing, the purpose of cursing, the purposes of cursing, the purpose of cursing, the meaning of cursing, the meanings of cursing, the meaning of cursing, the culture of cursing, the cultures of cursing, the culture of cursing, the demonstrator of cursing, the demonstrators of cursing, the demonstrator of cursing, the demonstration of cursing, the demonstrations of cursing, the demonstration of cursing, the manifester of cursing, the manifestors of cursing, the manifester of cursing, the manifestation of cursing, the manifestations of cursing, the manifestation of cursing, the presence of cursing, the presences of cursing, the presence of cursing, the glow of cursing, the glows of cursing, the glow of cursing, the goal of cursing, the goals of cursing, The goal of cursing. The plan of cursing. The plans of cursing. The plan of cursing. The book of cursing. The books of cursing. The book of cursing. The philosopher of cursing. The philosophers of cursing. The philosopher of cursing. The philosophy of cursing. The philosophies of cursing. The philosophy of cursing. The releaser of cursing. The releasers of cursing. The releaser of cursing. The release of cursing. The releases of cursing. The release of cursing. The variable of cursing. The variables of cursing. The variable of cursing. The cause of cursing. The causes of cursing. The cause of cursing. The effect of cursing. The effects of cursing. The effect of cursing. The journey of cursing. The journeys of cursing. The journey of cursing. The emergence of cursing. The emergences of cursing. The emergence of cursing. The source of cursing. The sources of cursing. The source of cursing. The originator of cursing. The originators of cursing. The originator of cursing. The origin of cursing. The origins of cursing. The origin of cursing. The forefather of cursing. The forefathers of cursing. The forefather of cursing. The foremother of cursing. The foremothers of cursing. The foremother of cursing. The ancestor of cursing. The ancestors of cursing. The ancestor of cursing. The descendant of cursing. The descendants of cursing. The descendant of cursing. The lineage of cursing. The lineages of cursing. The lineage of cursing. The heritage of cursing. The heritages of cursing. The heritage of cursing. The heir of cursing. The heirs of cursing. The heir of cursing. The co-heir of cursing. The co-heirs of cursing. The co-heir of cursing. The joint heir of cursing. The joint heirs of cursing. The joint heir of cursing. The dynasty of cursing. The dynasties of cursing. The dynasty of cursing. The force of cursing. The forces of cursing. The force of cursing. The law of cursing. The laws of cursing. The law of cursing. The pact of cursing. The pacts of cursing. The pact of cursing. The game of cursing. The games of cursing. The game of cursing. The mask of cursing. The masks of cursing. The mask of cursing. The armor of cursing. The armors of cursing. The armor of cursing. The sword of cursing. The swords of cursing. The sword of cursing. The shield of cursing. The shields of cursing. The shield of cursing. The force shield of cursing. The force shields of cursing. The force shield of cursing. The armored force shield of cursing. The armored force shields of cursing. The armored force shield of cursing. The champion of cursing. The champions of cursing. The champion of cursing. The guardian of cursing. The guardians of cursing. The guardian of cursing. The defender of cursing. The defenders of cursing. The defender of cursing. The protector of cursing. The protectors of cursing. The protector of cursing. The chant of cursing. The chants of cursing. The chant of cursing. The shape of cursing. The shapes of cursing. The shape of cursing. The cube of cursing. The cubes of cursing. The cube of cursing. The cuboid of cursing. The cuboids of cursing. The cuboid of cursing. The sphere of cursing. The spheres of cursing. The sphere of cursing. The spheroid of cursing. The spheroids of cursing. The spheroid of cursing. The prism of cursing. The prisms of cursing. The prism of cursing. The pyramid of cursing. The pyramids of cursing. The pyramid of cursing. The cylinder of cursing. The cylinders of cursing. The cylinder of cursing. The cone of cursing. The cones of cursing. The cone of cursing. The triangle of cursing. The triangles of cursing. The triangle of cursing. The circle of cursing. The circles of cursing. The circle of cursing. The semicircle of cursing. The semicircles of cursing. The semicircle of cursing. The square of cursing. The squares of cursing. The square of cursing. The rectangle of cursing. The rectangles of cursing. The rectangle of cursing. The parallelogram of cursing. The parallelograms of cursing. The parallelogram of cursing. The rhombus of cursing. The rhombuses of cursing. The rhombus of cursing. The trapezoid of cursing. The trapezoids of cursing. The trapezoid of cursing. The polygon of cursing. The polygons of cursing. The polygon of cursing. The pentagon of cursing. The pentagons of cursing. The pentagon of cursing. The hexagon of cursing. The hexagons of cursing. The hexagon of cursing. The septagon of cursing. The septagons of cursing. The septagon of cursing. The octagon of cursing. The octagons of cursing. The octagon of cursing. The nonagon of cursing. The nonagons of cursing. The nonagon of cursing. The decagon of cursing. The decagons of cursing. The decagon of cursing. The evolution of cursing. The evolutions of cursing. The evolution of cursing. The revolution of cursing. The revolutions of cursing. The revolution of cursing. The elemental art of cursing. The elemental arts of cursing. The elemental art of cursing. The elemental science of cursing. The elemental sciences of cursing. The elemental science of cursing. The elemental principle of cursing. The elemental principles of cursing. The elemental principle of cursing. The elemental technology of cursing. The elemental technologies of cursing. The elemental technology of cursing. The low elemental art of cursing. The low elemental arts of cursing. The low elemental art of cursing. The low elemental science of cursing. The low elemental sciences of cursing. The low elemental science of cursing. The low elemental principle of cursing. The low elemental principles of cursing. The low elemental principle of cursing. The low elemental technology of cursing. The low elemental technologies of cursing. The low elemental technology of cursing. The high elemental art of cursing. The high elemental arts of cursing. The high elemental art of cursing. The high elemental science of cursing. The high elemental sciences of cursing. The high elemental science of cursing. The high elemental principle of cursing. The high elemental principles of cursing. The high elemental principle of cursing. The high elemental technology of cursing. The high elemental technologies of cursing. The high elemental technology of cursing. The agent of cursing. The agents of cursing. The agent of cursing. The agency of cursing. The agencies of cursing. The agency of cursing. The amplifier of cursing. The amplifiers of cursing. The amplifier of cursing. The amplification of cursing. The amplifications of cursing. The amplification of cursing. The enhancer of cursing. The enhancers of cursing. The enhancer of cursing. The enhancement of cursing. The enhancements of cursing. The enhancement of cursing. The magnifier of cursing. The magnifiers of cursing. The magnifier of cursing. The magnification of cursing. The magnifications of cursing. The magnification of cursing. The influencer of cursing. The influencers of cursing. The influencer of cursing. The influence of cursing. The influences of cursing. The influence of cursing. The emanator of cursing. The emanators of cursing. The emanator of cursing. The emanation of cursing. The emanations of cursing. The emanation of cursing. The converger of cursing. The convergers of cursing. The converger of cursing. The convergence of cursing. The convergences of cursing. The convergence of cursing. The aura of cursing. The auras of cursing. The aura of cursing. The impression of cursing. The impressions of cursing. The impression of cursing. The intelligence of cursing. The intelligences of cursing. The intelligence of cursing. The sophistication of cursing. The sophistications of cursing. The sophistication of cursing. The genius of cursing. The geniuses of cursing. The genius of cursing. The polymath of cursing. The polymaths of cursing. The polymath of cursing. The psychic of cursing. The psychics of cursing. The psychic of cursing. The knowledge of cursing. The knowledges of cursing. The knowledge of cursing. The understanding of cursing. The understandings of cursing. The understanding of cursing. The wisdom of cursing. The wisdoms of cursing. The wisdom of cursing. The secret of cursing. The secrets of cursing. The secret of cursing. The mystery of cursing. The mysteries of cursing. The mystery of cursing. The revelation of cursing. The revelations of cursing. The revelation of cursing. The tactic of cursing. The tactics of cursing. The tactic of cursing. The strategy of cursing. The strategies of cursing. The strategy of cursing. The strength of cursing. The strengths of cursing. The strength of cursing. The might of cursing. The mights of cursing. The might of cursing. The power of cursing. The powers of cursing. The power of cursing. The authority of cursing. The authorities of cursing. The authority of cursing. The dominion of cursing. The dominions of cursing. The dominion of cursing. The rhythm of cursing. The rhythms of cursing. The rhythm of cursing. The melody of cursing. The melodies of cursing. The melody of cursing. The music of cursing. The musics of cursing. The music of cursing. The lyric of cursing. The lyrics of cursing. The lyric of cursing. The song of cursing. The songs of cursing. The song of cursing. The dance of cursing. The dances of cursing. The dance of cursing. The spirit of cursing. The spirits of cursing. The spirit of cursing. The soul of cursing. The souls of cursing. The soul of cursing. The body of cursing. The bodies of cursing. The body of cursing. The mark of cursing. The marks of cursing. The mark of cursing. The promise of cursing. The promises of cursing. The promise of cursing. The visionary of cursing. The visionaries of cursing. The visionary of cursing. The vision of cursing. The visions of cursing. The vision of cursing. The picture of cursing. The pictures of cursing. The picture of cursing. The sound of cursing. The sounds of cursing. The sound of cursing. The dung of cursing. The dungs of cursing. The dung of cursing. The language of cursing. The languages of cursing. The language of cursing. The communication of cursing. The communications of cursing. The communication of cursing. The people of cursing. The peoples of cursing. The people of cursing. The society of cursing. The societies of cursing. The society of cursing. The fortress of cursing. The fortresses of cursing. The fortress of cursing. The government of cursing. The governments of cursing. The government of cursing. The city of cursing. The cities of cursing. The city of cursing. The nation of cursing. The nations of cursing. The nation of cursing. The civilization of cursing. The civilizations of cursing. The civilization of cursing. The world of cursing. The worlds of cursing. The world of cursing.